dear students, I will today take up the next session on bank reconciliation statement. So in the last session we had a detailed discussion about how to prepare BRS, what is the purpose of preparation of a BRS, what are the various items that normally come in BRS. All that I will discuss in detail. Hope you are able to understand that thoroughly. And today I will explain you with the help of few problems as to how to prepare a bank reconciliation statement, because preparation of a bank reconciliation statement has got a lot of interesting aspects in it. So dear students, today we will work out some problems on bank reconciliation statement. I'll read out the question. From the following particulars, prepare a bank reconciliation statement for Jindal Offset Limited. Balance as per cash book is 2,40,000. Check issued but not presented in the bank, rupees 1,36,000. Check deposited in the bank but not credited, 90,000. Bank charges amounted to 300. Interest credited by bank 1,250. Balance as per passbook is 2,86,950. Now this is a fairly easy problem. They have given both balance as per cash book and passbook. So let us start with, you can either start with cash book or passbook. I'll do this problem starting with cash book. So the heading is bank reconciliation statement. Normally, you know, bank reconciliation statement is as on a date. So we are going to prepare as on a particular date, as on date dash whatever it is. Okay, now let us get started with balance as per cash book. Let us start with balance as per cash book. You can actually have two columns, inner column and external column. In case you want to do any subtotal, you can do that. Balance as per cash book, we can straight away put in the outer column, external column 2,40,000. Now check issued but not presented for or less, because the reconciliation statement is nothing but starting with the cash book balance and ending with passbook balance, or starting with passbook balance. Of add or less is basically indication of the reasons for difference between cash book and passbook balances. So check issued but not presented for payment. Now dear students, carefully observe. Now whenever you want to identify what you need to do, you need to add or less. Let us assume the balance as per cash book and passbook was the same, and when you issue a check, the first impact or first point of entry comes in cash book. So your cash book balance becomes 90 and your passbook balance remains at 100. Now your starting point is cash book, so you should do something to the cash book that will match with the passbook. So here, since cash book balance has become 90, you need to add it to the cash book so that it becomes equivalent to the passbook. So check issued but not presented for payment. So I can either put it directly in the outer column or I can put it in the inner column also. Secondly, check deposited in bank but not credited. So similar treatment. So assume cash book balance and passbook balance was same, and when you deposit a check, your first point of entry is in cash book, your cash book balance becomes 110, whereas your passbook balance is at 100. So you need to match it. So your starting point is cash book, so what you should do in cash book to match it less? So dear students, carefully observe. I will now, basically, since the cash book balance is higher, we need to less, so I put here less. Less check deposited but not credited. But not credited. So the amount is 90,000. Now very important point, you need to group them properly. Add items should be grouped properly and less items should be grouped properly. Then bank charges amounted to 300. Now I'll again put here cash book, passbook, 100. Before the reconciliation item, assume the balance was 100. When there is a bank charge, the first effect entry is in passbook. So passbook, I'm just putting some indicative figure of 10 rupees. So After bank charges, your passbook is 90, whereas your cash book is 100. Now your starting point is cash book. You need to do something to the cash book to match it to passbook. So I should less. So bank charges. If I less only, I'll be able to match it to the passbook. Bank charges 300 and 300, round figure of 300. Okay. Then interest credited by bank. Cash book balance, passbook balance. Originally it was 100. When interest is credited, passbook becomes 110, cash book is 100 only. Now you need to reconcile cash book balance and passbook balance. What you should do in cash book to match to passbook? Add. So interest credited in passbook. So that amounts to 1250. 1250. It's very simple here. Once you know one item is add, then other item, the reverse of it, so like corollary, what we call in mathematics, no? The reverse of it would be a minus. So that like that you can easily understand it better as you do more problems. But until that time, you need to know, be a little bit careful in terms of doing things so that you know clearly how it is done. So now you actually, so you started with balance as per cash book, and now you are ending up with balance as per passbook. Now, if the question is silent, it is always, it means it's favorable balance. Or cash book means it's a debit balance. So I hope you are aware of this. So cash book balance favorable means debit. Okay, so 240 plus 136 plus 1250 minus 90 minus 300. You get balance as per passbook 2,86,950. This is a positive number, so it's called a favorable balance. Your start point and end point is very important. And dear students, I said in the last class, favorable balance as per passbook means it's a credit. So kindly make a note of this. Whenever we refer to as favorable balance as per passbook, it's a credit. So this is how we have reconciled the figures as given in the question. So you are starting with cash book balance of 2,40,000 and ending up with a passbook balance of 2,86,950. So that completes the problem. I have also learned it a hard way. I thought this method of understanding would be easier for us. So just in a rough calculation, you just assume both balances were equal before the reconciliation item, and how to adjust for the reconciliation item. You will be able to do it without much of a problem. Okay, very simple way to do it. Okay, we'll go to the next problem now. On 31st March 2017, the bank passbook of Namrata showed a balance of 1,50,000 to her credit, while the balance as per cash book was 1,12,050. On scrutiny of the two books, she ascertained the following causes of difference. She has issued a check amounting to 80,000, out of which only 32,000 were presented for payment. She received a check of 5,000 which she recorded in her cash book but forgot to deposit in the bank, and then a check of 22,000 deposited by her has not been cleared yet. Then Mr. Gupta deposited an amount of 15,700 in her bank which has not been recorded by her in the cash book yet, and bank has credited an interest of 1,500 while charging rupees 250 as bank charges. Now, my dear students, you can start with passbook, because for your easy understanding, since the balance as per passbook and cash book both is given, so I will show you how to prepare a bank reconciliation statement starting with passbook. As on date, whatever it is. Okay, so date is very important. So this is given as 31/3/17. So balance as per passbook favorable. Credit balance or favorable balance. So again, as I said, have an inner column and outer column. Wherever it is required, you can actually put it in the inner column also, or directly you can put it in the outer column. Both are okay. So balance as per passbook is showing 1,50,000. Okay, then let us go item by item. So cash book is showing a lower balance, whereas passbook is showing a higher balance. What are the reasons for difference? Let us identify that. She has issued a check of 80,000 rather, out of which only 32,000. So check issued but not presented. She issued a check for 80,000 but presented was only 32,000. Check issued but not presented is 48,000. Now again go back to our earlier. Whenever you do a reconciliation, assume the earlier balance was the same. So whenever a check is issued, the first point of entry is cash book. And whenever you issue a check, your cash book becomes lesser. So cash book is showing 90, whereas passbook is 100. Your starting point is passbook. So you need to do something in the passbook to match it to the cash book. So less. So you have an item of add, you have an item of less, check issued but not presented. Check issued but not presented, 48,000. Okay, then she received a check of 5,000 which she has recorded in her cash book but forgot to deposit in bank. So when you receive a check for 5,000, your cash book, assuming it was 100 earlier, it becomes addition. Now your starting point is passbook, so do something to match it to the cash book. So you should add it to the passbook. So 5,000 should be added to the passbook. Okay. So I'll put it here. Check recorded in cash book. Check recorded in cash book, but not deposited. She forgot to deposit. So cash book balance is higher. So that figure can be directly added here. No problem on that. Okay, check of 22,000 deposited by her has not been cleared. Now when check issued but not presented is less, check deposited. So something similar to this only. So it's easy to understand. Check deposited but not credited. You can try out this way also, but since I have explained you already, you can very well understand this better. So there are a lot of shortcuts here. So since check issued, you have identified it correctly and put it as less. Check deposited but not credited. That is amount of 22,000. Then Mr. Gupta deposited an amount of 15,700 in a bank which has not been recorded. So what has happened when Gupta is directly depositing, cash book was 100, passbook was 100. When directly it is deposited the passbook becomes 110, whereas the cash book remains at 100. So you need to do, since the starting point is passbook, you need to do something in the passbook to match it to cash book. So less, it's an item of less. So check deposited directly in the bank. In the bank directly by Gupta. For identification purpose, you can put as Gupta 15,700. Okay, and bank has credited an interest of, so let us identify what is the reconciliation aspect of the last one. So bank has credited an interest of 1,500. So what happens when the bank credits cash book at 100, passbook at 100, and when the bank deposits interest, your passbook becomes 110, cash book remains at 100. So you should do something to the passbook to match it to cash book. So the starting point is passbook. So it's a less item. So interest credited in passbook, interest credit in passbook. So that amount is 1,500. And when interest credited in passbook is a less item, the bank charges becomes an add item. So bank charges debited by banker, it is 250. Are you able to understand? When a bank is going to charge you for the bank charges, again the same way, you will be reducing, the passbook balance will reduce, and in order to match it, your starting point is passbook. In order to match passbook and cash book, you need to add. So we have added here 250. Now whatever you get as a balance is balance as per cash book. So you started with passbook and now you ended with cash book balance, which is given the question. So since both balances are given to you in the question, it's an easy check. So you can actually reconcile and confirm that your answer is right. So you started with the passbook balance 1,50,000 and you're ending up with this. And since the balance is a positive number, this is favorable balance. You have to write that, my dear students. Very, very important. Favorable balance or debit balance. So don't miss out that. You have to necessarily put it like that. Are you able to follow me? Okay, good. So I hope you have a broad understanding of how to prepare this BRS. Now we'll go to the next problem. Now I'll do a problem with an overdraft. Now whatever we did was about a positive balance or a favorable balance. If you have an overdraft balance, what you need to do, I'll tell you a simple technique. Now cash book overdraft. The treatment for BRS purpose will be as if it's a passbook favorable. the opposite of it. So don't do anything else. Don't do anything else. I just now worked out problems to you showing how to go about preparation of a BRS when you start with cash book favorable and when you start with passbook favorable, correct? Now whenever they are going to give you overdraft balance, cash book if they give overdraft, you treat as if it's a passbook favorable and add or less item will be as if it's a passbook favorable. Similarly, passbook overdraft should be treated as if it's a cash book favorable. Now don't forget the fact cash book overdraft means credit balance, correct? And passbook overdraft means debit balance. So this is something very important. So hopefully you are able to understand this. So when you do a problem with overdraft balance, don't get worried. It's very simple. If they are going to give you cash book overdraft, treat as if it is a passbook favorable and reverse. If it's a passbook overdraft, treat as if it's a cash book favorable. Okay, in that way you will be able to do the problem without much of an issue. So I'll dictate a question here. From the following particulars, ascertain the balance that would appear in the passbook of Mr. A on 31st December 2017. The bank overdraft as per cash book on 31st December 2017 is 6,340. So it's a bank overdraft as per cash book. So cash book overdraft. Interest on overdraft for 6 months ending 31st December 160 is entered in passbook but not in cash book. Bank charges of 400 are debited in passbook only. Check issued but not in cash prior to 31st December 2017 amounted to 11,68,000. Check paid into bank but not credited before 31/12/17 is 22,17,000. Interest on investments collected by the bank and credited in the passbook is 12 lakhs. So let us prepare bank reconciliation statement as on 31/12/17. So balance as per cash book. You can say OD balance or overdraft balance as per cash book. My dear students, it is credit balance, so you can have a column, inner column and outer column. So balance as per cash book OD is given as 6,000. Don't put minus and all here, and don't put anything because I have tried straight away told you the add or less will be based on starting point. So OD balance as per cash book means it's a passbook favorable. Treatment should be like passbook favorable. Interest on overdraft entered in passbook. So cash book and passbook, this is a methodology I told you. Before this reconciliation it was 100. When there is interest on overdraft charged in the passbook, your passbook balance will become lesser. So here, as I said, you are starting with OD as per cash book, which is similar to passbook favorable. So you should do adjustments in passbook. So what you should do adjustment in passbook to match add. So what you should do in passbook is add bank interest on overdraft. Interest on overdraft, not recorded in cash book. So you have to know it's a reconciliation item. As I said, bank reconciliation statement is prepared to identify the reasons for difference. So this is 160. Then coming to bank charges of 400 debited, similar treatment. Bank interest on overdraft and bank charges both have similar treatment. Bank charges 400 recorded in passbook but not in cash book, same treatment, right? So interest on overdraft also similar treatment and bank charges also. Check issued but not presented by the customer. So when you issue a check, your cash book was 100, passbook was 100. When you issue a check, cash book becomes 90 and passbook is at 100. Now as I said, your starting point is OD as per cash book. You should treat as if it's a passbook balance. So in order to match passbook and cash book, what you should do? You should less. So less, then only it will match. Check issued but not presented. Check issued but not presented. So amount is 11,68,000. So don't put any minus plus and all, not required. This is good enough. Then checks paid into bank. This is opposite of it. Check deposited but not add. When check issued is not presented as an item of list, we got it here. So it's opposite treatment. So I think it's very easy to understand that. Check deposited but not credited. 22,17,000. And interest on investments collected by the bank but not reflected in cash book. So cash book, passbook. Before this, cash book and passbook was same. When interest is credited, passbook becomes 110, cash book remains at 100. Your starting point is OD as per cash book. As I said, it should be treated as if it's a passbook favorable balance. So what you should do to match passbook less? So you have to put this as an item of less. Interest on investments. Interest on investments. Credited by the bank 12 lakhs. So now you will get now this is balance as per you started with cash book, this is balance as per passbook. Now carefully observe, my dear students, they have not given us what is the balance, we have to arrive at the balance. So take your calculator. So 6,340 plus all add items 160 plus 400 plus 22 lakh 17,000. So you get 22 lakh 23,900 minus 11 lakh 68,000 minus 12 lakhs. You get 1 lakh 4,400. So this 1 lakh 4,400 is coming as a negative figure. Now, very important step, carefully observe. You started off with OD as per cash book. If the numerical is this is actually a plus sign, though it's OD as I said, so don't forget about the fact. Okay, instead of putting it here, I'll put it here. OD balance as per cash book, I said treat as if it's passbook favorable. Then you do all the adjustments, right? Now this sign is plus, actually this sign is minus. So balance, when the sign changes, then balance as per passbook, instead of OD here, instead of OD, this will become favorable. Favorable balance or credit balance. My dear students, very important. Carefully observe what I am talking about. Now you started with OD balance as per cash book 6,340. If this figure is not a negative figure, then you will have balance as per passbook also as OD only. Whereas since this opening figure is a positive number and closing figure is a negative number, this becomes what actually? The reverse of it. OD balance as per cash book is a starting balance and this becomes the reverse of it. So it's favorable balance as per passbook. So in 5 to 10 minutes flat, you are able to quickly arrive at the answer for this bank reconciliation statement. Very simple to do. You need to be conceptually very clear. There are 2-3 things I would recommend you to do. There are a lot of terms which we use in the bank reconciliation statement, check depositor, or for the same check deposit they use a different description also. So there are many descriptions which are used in BRS. You need to get used to the description and terms. That is the first thing you need to do. Secondly, as I said, there are a few things which, as I said, use this sort of an approach so that you will never make a mistake. Don't do mind calculations. Don't do mind calculations forever. This is something compulsory for every item of reconciliation, because by doing this you are ensuring that your answer is perfect. You don't make mistake anywhere. If you do a mind calculation, you may go wrong. It's at risk a human, so there is no way you can ensure that you're always right. So for every item of reconciliation, I would recommend you to do this sort of assuming same balance at the start point and then add or less item, and then accordingly decide whether it should be add or less. So kindly don't hesitate to do that. Actually speaking, for let us say 6 or 7 mark question on a BRS, you get some 12 minutes time, let us say. In this 12 minutes you can easily do with all of this. So don't rush and get into wrong answer, and you have to be extra careful whenever there is OD. Because OD treatment, I told you just now how to go about it. Whenever there is OD balance as per cash book and passbook, etc., you need to be extra careful so that you don't make a mistake in this. So kindly go through this problem. I'll send you this question by WhatsApp to you. Go through this problem and I'll come back to you in the next session with few more problems on BRS, and we also later will be discussing about adjusted cash book, etc., which is very interesting. So I would recommend you to go through this and try out some additional problems on the types what we have done so far, so that you are familiar with whatever the types of problems we have done. Okay, I'll catch up with you in the next session, my dear students. Take care.